Hi everybody, this is Debbie Happy Cohen here with another Joy-Based Living video, and today's topic is feeling at home in yourself and in the world. Home is whenever I'm with you. I'm still working on this painting, on this building block, and it's one of my favorites. It was one of the first ones that I made in it, and it was inspired by that song by Edward Monk and the Magnetic Zeros called Home is Wherever I'm With You, Whenever. I don't remember how it goes, but something like that. I love the song. One of my greatest wishes is for more people to feel at home in the world. In Joy-Based Living this year, 2017, within our base camp community, we've had about a year-long conversation on healing, and specifically healing from narcissistic abuse. I've written a couple of blog posts about that recently. And the flip side of it, the flip side of the healing is feeling at home in the world enough to be your authentic self and to let that still small voice that's inside of you be heard, but not in a, oh, now I need to be on American Idol kind of a way, but in an everyday, hey, I'm not quite sure what I want to do with my next hour, or hey, we just got together. What exactly are we going to do with our time? Or, it usually has to do with what do I want to do next. And in order to answer that question honestly, you have to be very honest about what you feel energetically, emotionally, physically, and intuitively as well. Because before I did this video, a few things just came to me really, really, really clear from the village about what to share with you. I knew that was my intuition at work. One of them was the block that I just showed you about home. And the other one is one of my favorite characters in the world. I love her so much that I actually got a doll. This is Betty Suarez, and she was played by America Ferrara. Let me open her eyes here. And it was the American version of the show was called Ugly Betty, and I believe there was a Mexican version of the show and a Colombian version of the show, and Salma Hayek produced it in the U.S. And it's this girl who ends up working for a magazine, a high-end fashion magazine. And she's this kind of homely girl from Mexico, and she clearly doesn't fit. But one of the things she wears all the time is this letter B around her neck. Let's see if you can see it. Don't know how clear it is. There's a letter B. Oh, I see. There's pearls on the bottom of it. It's the letter B, and it's around her neck. And, of course, it's for Betty. And Betty's mom died when she was 10 years old. And Betty always knew that she was really, really loved by her mom. And her dad was a really sweet man, and her sister's a little nut job, but she's loved by her sister as well. And so she shows up at work feeling that sense of fullness that comes when you know that you're really loved and you feel like you are enough. Versus actually a lot of the other people on the show who are showing off and really being extra confident, arrogant, beautiful, but they don't feel enough on the inside. That's why they're showing off so hard on the outside. The reason I loved Betty Suarez so much, and I still do, is because she kept standing strong. It reminds me of a story that Maya Angelou tells in her book called Mom and Me and Mom, where Maya Angelou is on I think she was in Sweden, and she had written a screenplay and they invited her to the movie set. But when she arrived, they started treating her very poorly because she was Black. And she started feeling extremely, extremely alone. And she wanted to be on the set. She was honored to be there, but she was really being treated like crap by everybody there. So she called up her mother in San Francisco. Her mother took the next flight over to Sweden. And what her mother did was have Maya Angelou sit on her lap as an adult, and she just held her. She made her coffee every morning, and she gave her a drink every evening. And basically her message to her was, I am here with you. Well, what happened as a result was people in the studio started picking up a different energy from Maya. She started showing up to the studio. Nobody knew her mom had visited, but she started showing up to the studio having that sense of fullness and completeness that shows up in a person who knows that they are enough and who knows that they are loved. And then all of a sudden people started inviting her to things, and she started inviting them to her house, and they started meeting her mother, and the whole experience turned around for her because she felt supported. That's my wish for everybody in the world, because I don't believe that we would have any violence in the world or any outrageous, unnecessary violence if people felt loved and felt that they knew that they were enough. It's a feeling, it's an energy, it's a sensation. It's the reason I created joy-based living, is because sometimes in many families and at school, school has an agenda. You're supposed to be a certain way, and you're supposed to have a certain kind of intelligence, and you get scored and rated all the time on the way that you're being according to certain standards. Well, what if that's not you? Then how do you feel at home in the world? So you may end up taking on other identities, maybe like as a rebel or as somebody who's very caring and nurturing. Or maybe you get locked in to being the straight A student. But in any of those roles, you're not fully free to be yourself. You're stuck in a role. And that still small voice inside of you doesn't give a hoot about your roles. It cares about the fullness of life expressing through you, because it was the universe who gave birth to you. You belong here. And I want you to feel more at home in the world, to be true to what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're needing, what you're desiring, and to be more and more confident every day about expressing your authentic self to the people in your world and letting that world expand more and more. So for a while, I was mostly sharing on Basecamp, and then I started expanding more of my expression into Facebook, and now I'm expressing more on YouTube. So I'm letting that little light inside of me shine brighter. And I'll say more about this in other videos, but I wanted to start it out with home is whenever I'm with you. And I want to thank you for being here, because I wouldn't be doing this video if you weren't here having a calling for it. So if you want to join me in this conversation and my friends in this conversation and in this way of being, please join us at joybasedliving.com. Thank you so very much. Bye for now.